Hello and welcome to the Learn, Do, Become podcast. I'm April Perry, and today we have a super special episode featuring one of our steppers, meaning a member of our Steps to Everyday Productivity program. Her name is Aimee Ferre. If you want to get organized, if you want your mind to feel calm, if you want a system that's outside your brain that allows you to actually rest and focus and never forget the things you need to do, and actually make progress on all the stuff that you've dreamt about, then today we're going to show you how you can actually do that. If you're brand new here, at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And inside this community, we have a Learn, Do, Become framework, okay? So the free Learn component means we have tons of free resources like the podcast, our YouTube channel, and lots of free downloads, printables, and tutorials. Then our Do component is where we invite you to build a full command central or an organizing system that will help you with all the stuff of life, like digital files and papers and messages, projects, goals, tasks, and more. So you don't ever need to feel like everything's just swirling around in one big jumble in your brain. And we have extra support and coaching inside our STEP programs if you want help building this system. And then finally, we have a Become component inside our Arise membership. This is where you can work with me and Eric and Team Learn, Do, Become to architect a life of excellence, which means you design a life where you wake up excited and you go to bed content. And there's actually meaning and purpose, and you're giving back. It feels amazing, and we're so excited for you to be here to learn, do, and become. All of the resources I've mentioned, including our free welcome kit to get you started, can be found on the show notes page for this episode. So go to learndobecome.com/episode 306. Now, occasionally we're able to sit down and chat with members of our community who have experienced a true transformation, and their stories will definitely inspire you. We have many on this podcast already. I really wish we could interview every person because honestly, the energy of the people who gather here at Learn, Do, Become is amazing. Now, Aimee has been consistently posting her before and after photos and her aha moments inside our Step Mastery Facebook group. And after several awesome posts, check the show notes page to see pictures, we just knew we needed to find out more about what was going on. And more importantly, we wanted to be able to give Aimee a chance to tell you what actually works, what makes a difference. Because it's one thing when you hear it from a member of Team Learn, Do, Become, and we're telling you, oh, here's how awesome it is to get organized in this way. But when someone else says, oh, wow, I found you guys maybe on social media or something like that, and then I came and I took your free training and this has now transformed my life, I want you to be able to hear that because it's going to help you to be able to see that this transformation doesn't need to be difficult. It does take time, but it's absolutely worth it. So I hope you enjoy this fun, inspiring discussion between Aimee and Coach Jill, who's been coaching inside our STEP programs for more than 8 years now. I listened to the recording of their discussion as I was driving in the car one afternoon, and I just kept thinking, okay, I can't wait to share this on the podcast. It was so good. Her stories are relatable and her energy is contagious. And I guarantee if you are looking for that peace and order and calm, you'll be so glad you listened. So enjoy.
Okay, hello. I would love to welcome Aimee Ferre here with us today. She is just an amazing stepper, and we just had to reach out and interview this amazing lady because, oh my goodness, Aimee, you are just killing it in step right now. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jill. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
We have just enjoyed watching your transformation of your spaces, and you have done a great job documenting that and sharing that with our community. And we just wanted to take it a little bit of a step further here today. So to go ahead and jump in, when did you first hear about Learn to Become and the STEP program?
So it was last year, actually. I even remember it was like the beginning of June. It was June 6th to be exact. Jill, I was literally doing what April talked about, drowning in piles. I even used that term. I'm just like, I'm drowning. My dresser was packed with piles. Every surface, every flat surface in my house was I'm a project queen. I'm a crafter. I will identify that because creative crafters, especially like the general broad term, you have a lot of stuff and you're constantly navigating through a lot of stuff. And my husband's a contractor, so he's constantly navigating through stuff. And now I have aging parents. We both have aging parents that have a lot of stuff. And I just felt like, I'll let me just back up and give you like the scene here. So, I have all this stuff. I feel like every closet, every cabinet, everything's bursting at the hinges. And my mom is declining. She's got dementia. And so all of this stuff was happening. I had kids that were married. I had grandkids. I just feel like, everyone says, oh, when the kids are out of the house, it's so much easier. And I'm like, it is not. It just adds more people and more worry to your stuff. And so, I was just trying to help my mom, and I was trying to do my craft shows, and I would finish a craft show and I would fly to Arizona and I would do these all-nighters cleaning her house. And I mean, that's something that I actually am good at. I am good at cleaning. I am good at organizing. I'm good at finding bins for things and keeping things somewhat organized. I call myself a perfectionist, but when you see my before photos, you're like, she's not a perfectionist. She's a disaster. But in my head, I'm a perfectionist. I want things done right. And so I just had all these layers of things going on. And I literally was on the verge of tears all the time. And I had sat down to listen to circle back. I had sat down to just literally medicate myself with social media. And I'm on Instagram. That's where I do a lot of my business stuff. And so I was on Instagram and I saw this ad with April. And I can tell you, I'm not a clickbait person. I don't click on stuff. I don't buy things online like that. And I watched her video, and at the risk of sounding really cheesy, chills went up and down my arms. And it felt like a spiritual revival for me, which is so weird when you're talking about decluttering. But she said everything I needed to hear. I was like, I am drowning in piles. And whatever this woman is about to tell me, I am going to do, and I'm going to take notes. I literally had that thought in my head. I'm going to do this and I'm going to take notes. And she talked about this webinar, and I'm like, okay, I can do a webinar, but I'm not forking out any money. I'm just going to listen to the webinar. So that was kind of my plan, was I was going to listen to her webinar. And I started listening to it, and I started taking screenshots of everything. I'm like, I'm not going to pay for this. I'm just going to do this at home because I can do this. And I was screenshotting all her ideas of the Command Central, and I loved it. I loved it so much. By the end of the webinar, I had my credit card out. I am doing this. Because I felt like, yeah, I could do everything she said, but I realized I'm a people person, and connecting with people and getting it's been so, I can't emphasize the importance of the community, knowing that you're going to be accountable, even though it's, you're accountable, but you're accountable to yourself really, but you feel this draw to people because they're giving you ideas, they're sharing what they're doing. And anyway, that's how it started, was that I watched the webinar and I was just drawn in, and she shared things in her life that replicated exactly my life. I mean, she could have been telling my story when she was telling her story. And so it really resonated with me. And I latched on immediately, knowing that I had the year from where coming up, because I had a daughter I knew was going to be getting married. I knew she was going to get married. There were all these things that I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to do this, but it's lifetime, right? So I can do it anytime I feel like I can jump in. So that's how it started.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great story. So you talked about, obviously being a crafter, having a lot of things there, your husband having a lot of things, but that you're also a pretty organized person to begin with. So what were the pain points specifically that really drew you in, do you feel like?
I just didn't know what to do with stuff. Here's how I looked, how I organized. I knew how to fill a drawer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm not Marie Kondo that, there's spaces between the hangers. It's jammed as much as you can get. And that amount of stuff going out to my garage, a lot of my business is out in my garage. And I was playing Tetris. I mean, I was just like the maximum stuff I could store and containerize. And so I soon realized when I was cleaning out my mom's house, and we were trying to decide if we were going to put her into a retirement community or if she needed live-in help because she wasn't quite cognitively at the space she is now. And I was looking at all this stuff like, where's all this stuff going to go? Where are all these heirlooms going to go? So it was the combination of my stuff and ultimately our parents' stuff, and what do we get rid of and what do we save? That was very painful. I have a really hard time letting go of stuff. I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. My dad was a school teacher. And so everything we got, we held on to because we didn't know if we could get more. It's a psychology. In fact, I'll probably talk about it later, but I read a book by Julie Morgenstern called Shed, at the recommendation of April. And it talks about the emotions of our stuff. And so that was the painful part for me. It's like I collect a lot of creative things. And I can tell you, I am known in my neighborhood that if you need it, it's in Aimee's basement. And I have almost all the time been able to, I can pull out a dinner party and decorate the whole thing without going anywhere. Like I have a lot of stuff and my fear is, oh, what's going to happen if someone needs my stuff and I don't have my stuff anymore? So there's a lot of that going on with me right now. And I'm learning I don't have to be, there's a place called Diamond Rental where you can rent all your tablecloths and dishware. I don't have to be the Diamond Rental for our neighborhood. I can let go of stuff. And I'm learning to do that. It's a challenge. It's a challenge and it's painful. It is hard. It's like you're divorcing your stuff, And so, anyway, and also, and the most important thing, honestly, is my relationships with people. I've become this loner because I'm always trying to clean over the weekends. Like I can't go do anything. I've got stuff I have to rearrange. I have stuff I have to move. I have to clean. I have to, we've got company coming in 3 weeks. I've got to get my house ready. It's going to take me 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Things like that. My relationships were really starting to deteriorate with my spouse, with my kids. My grandkids would come over and it's like, oh, don't go into the basement. Nini's stuff is all over the place, So things like that. I wanted to be the home that I have a friend that anytime you come over, oh, would you like some tea? Like it's like she lives in London or something. She's always welcoming you in and it's warm and inviting. And she would go around the home at night and turn on all her lamps and make it. And she said, I do that for my husband because I want him to come home and feel happy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to pull out a frozen pizza from the freezer for my husband. Like, I just thought that was so endearing that she cared so much to make her place inviting for not just her, but for her family and to have a place to foster those relationships. And so honestly, that's my big why right now is I felt like things in my marriage were struggling because we had stuff and we thought about it. We argued about all of our stuff and my stuff was bigger than his stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You have all these storage units for your stuff. And so it became a challenge to have these dialogues about our stuff. Painful.
A lot of truth there in what you just described. And I totally agree. There just really is so much emotional components to our things that, I think that as we grow, we, tend to just all of a sudden realize like, wow, this is something that's really important to me. And being able to go through and just like make a decision and just be cognizant of, what this is and what it means to me, but to, kind of have that shift that, you can still have the memory without having the actual items. and understanding that you
Yes.
still have that connection there.
Yes.
Like that connection doesn't have to be any less strong, without that item sitting right there. So, yeah,
Yes.
I just love those truths. So would you be able to tell us, you kind of mentioned, like your relationship a little bit too there, but like what changes do you see in your everyday life now that you have your system built versus before you had your system built?
I kind of jotted down a few things about this because there's so many things, Jill. I mean, I literally had to make a page of bullet points with this, and I'm going to refer to them because they're huge things. This step, I mean, I kind of get emotional about it, and I feel like I'm spreading the gospel of step sometimes to my friends because it has made such a huge impact. And I think you have to be ready for it too. I was ready for it. I mean, when I heard that ad, I was 100% on board already, even though I didn't have the time. It's been a year since I signed up and I really started. I did a couple projects in the beginning. Like I cleaned through my garage and I remember listening to this podcast about microbursts. And I'm like, that's all I have time for. It was like this light bulb moment for me to have a microburst. Wow, what a great name for it too. It's like this burst of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. And you know what? Every microburst I did turned into sometimes 2 and 3 hours because I got so excited about it. So the obvious thing to go back, the obvious thing that I've noticed is my home is much tidier. I mean, you can, and I am an empty nester officially. So you can come to my home, and even though I was an empty nester before, you could come to my house and the entire place would be a disaster with projects everywhere. And I used to think as an empty nester, my house is going to be spotless because I've got nobody living here, right? Except for my husband. Well, no. So my house is much more tidier. I have routines now. And I always sort of had somewhat routines, but they weren't identified. They weren't written down. They weren't like in my face every morning when I come sit down. Oh, that's right. I got to go do this. I'm going to throw in a load of laundry. I do a load of laundry like every other day. And that's like my routine. And that I just have a weird thing about clean laundry. And I have my dishes that I do right after my walk. And I have these things that are very established now. And it's really good because I winged it before. I winged it my whole raising all my kids, and it's so sad. I think about it now and it makes me sad that I didn't have this program a long time ago. But anyway, so my home is tidier. I started off with the garage. I went to the pantry, and that pantry, I did it over a year ago, and it looks exactly the same. You can step in it and it looks exactly the same as when I cleaned it. The pantry was always the thing that every 2 to 3 months I'd have to clean. Yeah. But I just created this system in my head that was going to work, and it did. I laid it all out. I figured out, okay, I'm going to buy these things. This is what anyway, it's just, I think my point is that because I created steps to my projects, I was able to do it. I went into my bedroom. My bedroom was next. Then now in June, this last June is when I started on my husband's, now our office. We share this space now. And it just has gone to every room in my house. I've done almost every room in my house this summer. It's been a long, hard process, but it feels so great. Mm. The practice of microbursts, I mentioned that the Google Calendar has been, everyone talks about it in step, and everybody has different ones that they use, but Google for me, because my husband uses strictly Google, I was Apple, so iCalendar is what worked for me. But for us together, the Google Calendars changed everything about our communication. It's like we communicate through Google Calendar now. Oh, we have this. Oh, I saw that. Okay, yeah. So we're both on the same page. That's been really, really important. Never had a place to capture my ideas. Because I'm artistic and in the art field, I always have visual projects in my head, and I would, my Pinterest is such a mess. One day I'm going to go through that and organize that because I'm just capturing ideas all the time. I just didn't know what to do with them. They're all in screenshots. They're papers. I made lists. I had files of lists. I don't even know where they are. I just didn't know how to organize my captures. Now I have a system of how I capture those. I carry around Post-it notes. I have my digital notes online, and I remember things. It's like, I feel like an imposter right now, Jill. I feel like I'm that imposter syndrome that they talk about. I'm like, I'm not really organized, but I am. No, you're not really organized. Yes, you are. It's like this fight I'm having all the time with myself that you are organized now. I remember I was reading Atomic Habits, and I wish I could say his name. You might know his name, who wrote Atomic Habits, but he talks about how you identify yourself in these positive habits. You talk about yourself like you are that. Like people who are trying to quit smoking, they say, "I'm not a smoker. I'm not a smoker." It's not I'm trying to quit smoking. It's I'm not a smoker. So I'm a very organized individual right now. That's how I talk about myself. So capturing, prioritizing, that's probably the number one thing. Setting your goal and prioritizing. I always had probably 50 projects, and that's not a lie. Hi, real life's going to happen here. What do you need? Okay, you're going to meet my husband. Anyway, go ahead. So prioritizing what your projects, prioritizing your goals, and then figuring out your next actions list according to those goals. The system that she gives you of prioritizing actions, your next actions list, that's so helpful because I easily get distracted. I see something online I want to do. Oh, I'll jump over here. I'm like a little butterfly going from flower to flower. And I think that is something that's definitely changed too, is that prioritizing. In fact, my husband always is, well, aren't you Miss Efficient now? You know, like everything's efficient now because I'm thinking about those goals and I have them posted, at my desk. I know exactly what I'm doing next. I don't have anxiety anymore about people coming over, about guests coming. I had an unexpected guest stay overnight last weekend. I had no idea he was coming. My husband forgot to mention. And the guest room, the sheets were already clean. The bed was already made. The room was clean. The bathroom downstairs, everything was clean downstairs. I wasn't worried about him like peeking in any rooms. Like it was just like, how nice is that? That's an unfamiliar thing for me. But that's good. And probably the most important, well, I keep saying everything's important because it is, but the mental clarity that is now available to me because it's already in my inbox in a Post-it note. I don't need to do anything more yet until my review. It's all already there. And that's really nice. I actually think ahead now. We're in the process of, we're going to get ready to we're not doing a full remodel, but we're going to do some things in our kitchen. We need new appliances. And I had I scheduled to go look at these appliances with my husband, even though we're not going to do it probably till January. And our oven broke right after we had gone and picked out the oven we were going to get. So I feel like things are like, I'm doing things before things happen, and that's
I love that.
Definitely unusual. Freedom Filer, I still haven't used that to the nth degree, but I did get it in place, and that has changed. Having a home for stuff, for papers, is critical. And I knew Freedom Filer was something I needed to do. I knew it last year when I heard April talk about it. It was a project for me. It didn't take me 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever they say. It took me a week because I just, maybe I'm slow, but it took me a while to figure out what everything was. And when you haven't done it for so long, it's like, I don't even know what is that? What insurance paper are they? Anyway. So, and my bedroom's clean. My bedroom's always clean. I can tell you 7 things that have changed in my bedroom. I had piles in my corner of artwork I wanted to hang. I had stacks of books on my dresser that I wanted to read. I mean, stacks, like 15 books on my nightstand. My husband probably had 20. Dust everywhere, because we couldn't dust with all this stuff everywhere. My dresser was like always a mess. I had random electronics in baskets. I don't even know why. Just I didn't know where to put them, so I under my bed, I had this big bin, a huge underbed bin. And I'm like, I don't even know what was in it. It was just stuff. It was just stuff, collecting dust. And so this July, I'm like, I want to make this a retreat. I want to go in my bedroom and I want to actually sleep. I don't sleep very well. I have insomnia a lot. And so I cleared all the clutter. Things you start getting used to, and you're like, this shouldn't be normal that your bedroom should be like this. This isn't normal. This is how I grew up. My mom, I do not want to say anything bad about my mom. My mom is a wonderful woman. She, got her master's in math, taught on the college level, brilliant. Ran a dance studio for 20 years. She's a remarkable woman, but she was not taught how to keep an organized home. She was not. My grandmother was not organized, both incredible individuals, but didn't know how to do it. And like when then you can do better. And so anyway, I grew up with boxes that we covered with blankets in the bedrooms. And I remember it was embarrassing to me. We never wanted to have anyone over to our house because there were boxes with sheets on them and blankets on them. And I remember one time my parents had left and we thought we heard noises in their room and we had to invite over our neighbor. And I was embarrassed about asking him to come in my mom's bedroom because there were blankets all over these boxes. So that's how I grew up. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm living I didn't have that, but I'm living like that. And there was no need for it. You know what I mean? Like you can find a place for things. And so all of these little baggage things of how I grew up kind of carried over into my adulthood. And I'm 56 years old and I'm like, I don't need to live. My home can be beautiful. I think there was maybe a little of, maybe I don't deserve that. I don't know why. That's a weird thing to think, but I got my bedroom clean. And now instead of shutting the doors to all the back bedrooms, because our main bathroom is back by the bedrooms, I leave every door open because it's so pretty now. All the bedrooms are pretty. I like looking at
I love that so
you
much.
know what I mean?
Oh,
So that's sort of, it's a lot has changed for me internally and externally.
That is amazing to hear. I just think your story is incredible. And it's just like, you can see it in your face as you're talking about this, just how passionate you
really
are about this and how life-changing it has been. And literally you just glow with just joy and just gratitude, I feel like, when you just talk about all of these aspects of the step system. So it's wonderful to hear, for sure. You just started to mention this just a minute ago, but you shared this quote in our Facebook group, and I wanted to circle back because I thought it was so good. You said, "When you know better, you do better." Is it unique that marriage and family relationships can profoundly improve just from cleaning your physical space and your head of the clutter? No, you said, no, it's not unusual at all. It actually makes complete sense. So would you like to elaborate just a little bit more on that? Maybe just with, I know it's just you and your husband in the household now, but what impact that has had on you?
Well, it's interesting because when all your kids are gone, it frees up more time for other things to come up. And so, when you're in the throes of raising kids, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had this little, my husband calls it a hobby, but to me it was a business, for all these years. I was constantly navigating through that, but now it's just you two, and you sort of have to get to know who you each have become in that time span of where you're 100% focused on your kids and their activities and their stuff and your stuff and everybody's stuff. And now it's just you two. And so I can say when I first started doing this, there's a lot of emotions that come up. And I was angry that we had collected so much stuff. I was angry at myself. I was angry at stuff I had to, my husband's that I didn't know what to do with because he has his business and I know I can't throw things away. And I also was nostalgic of, as I was sorting through things, you feel a lot of emotions of there's sadness, like, oh, I miss that, or, oh, I miss those days, or like you just have all these emotions when you're sorting through stuff, and I still have a lot more to go. I still have a big storage room that's my next year. But I didn't know any better. And so I keep giving myself grace that I didn't know any better. And now that I know better, I'm doing better, and I'm proud of that. But also, I feel like now that I mentioned that there's a lot of clarity and a lot more free time in my head now, and I can take the time to have discussions. I mean, this is not anything about cleaning or my command central or anything. It's more about relationships that have come from that. But I now have time to have discussions that are hard for both of us, like right now we were having a discussion about an appliance that I wanted this and he wanted that. And I didn't want to compromise, and he didn't want to, but the thing is like, before it'd be like, oh, whatever, I just can't think about it right now. Now it's like, no, this is a priority. This is a goal of mine, to be able to communicate better with my husband. That's one of my goals. One of my main priorities is him. I want to do things with him. We now have this routine every night. We're like old people. We go on a walk together, and it's so nice to do that, because some of the harder discussions we can have on that walk, where we're getting out, we're getting fresh air, we're in nature, we're having this experience together, and it's like, let's just take the time. And so the other day, I'm just going to be very transparent. I was really angry. I was really mad. And at the end of the day, I hadn't spoken to him all day. And at the end of the day, I'm like, let's go on a walk. Let's go. And we did. It was great. And we can have discussions because we have time. We have the emotional space to have those discussions. And that was a big thing for me. It was really big, because I just haven't in the past traditionally taken time to do that. Another thing that he really wanted to start working at this correctional facility with these young men. And I was pretty happy doing what I was doing with things that I wanted to do, but he wanted to do this thing and go to the prison. And I wasn't afraid of going. It was nothing like that. I was fine with going. I'm just like, just one more thing to add to my schedule. But we do it. And we do it together. And sometimes it's 3 times a week. Sometimes it's 4 times a week. Never thought I was signing up for that. But it's good. It was a priority of mine. It met a goal of mine as well. I mean, I'm not trying to do things just to meet my goals, but those goals are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And so things like that have happened that in my mind, had nothing to do with decluttering or organizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It really ties into just how meaningful this can be, because it does affect those most important things in your life, which you just clarified are your relationships with those you love. And hearing that communication has just increased so much, and you are able to have those deep and hard conversations now. I mean, that just, it makes my heart soar hearing that story, because it just makes me so happy for you.
Yeah, relationships are hard anyway. Like all relationships, especially family relationships, are hard. Because you get
100%.
down deep with your family. You don't, you have high school friends and whatever, but you don't always get deep with your friends and do hard things,
Yeah.
So
it
was good. Very good.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Definitely impactful. So definitely appreciate that. As we're kind of talking, kind of circling back just to the STEP program, would you say that there's anything within the program, maybe a certain tool that has been especially helpful to you, or, just any specific detail that you feel has been most impactful? I know we do have some great pictures that we're going to be sharing of your command central. You have it organized beautifully, but just from your perspective, what would you say has been the most impactful?
Well, I think, I mean, I've
Hard
talked
to say.
there once again, there's so many things. I think the command central with the cubbies having like, a spot to put things for me, the tickler file. I love the tickler file. Why haven't I thought of that before? I mean, it was so nice. The other day we went to a wedding, and I already had the card, the money, everything in the file folder with the invitation. I just grabbed it and went. I mean, that where I don't have to think about, wait, where did I put that? Like, I'm always trying to figure out where I put something. And there's a lot in my house. And I think in most homes, like, where did I put it? Up in the cupboard, and I'm searching for it and we're late. And I don't, so having physical places to put things, the freedom filer for the important documents, the projects go in the cubbies. The tickler file has all the things that I need for that day. The goals are posted. The capture tool, I always have stacks of stuff everywhere that I'm supposed to read. Well, is that an important thing? Is that something that I just maybe want to read? Everything is identified. All the papers have a little home, and I know right where it is. So I think the thing for me was when I first I feel like I've always been on a quest to figure out how to organize because of the way I grew up. I think maybe, I don't know if my house was an extreme case or not. We just didn't ever have anybody over because it wasn't ever really clean. And so I've always kind of been on this quest to figure out how to organize. And so when I was a child, I remember I was 13 years old. We had these little education weeks at our church, and I loved going, even though I was too young. You were supposed to be 14 to go. I guess they felt like you were more mature if you were younger. And so I went when I was 13, and this gentleman, they had all these experts in different fields come, and they were secular and spiritual. And this one guy came, and he was showing us this 3-ring notebook and these little organizers within the notebook and how you prioritize. And he wanted to launch this program to like a calendar that talked about prioritizing, and it was Hiram Smith. And this was before he had launched Franklin Planner. And I loved his talk. I was like, I want whatever that is. I wanted this. And I was young. I didn't really have I had dance lessons and piano, but nothing. What did I have to organize, But I remember I latched onto that. I took all these notes, went home, didn't really do anything with it, because I didn't know what I was prioritizing. I didn't get it. I was 13, and then years later, my husband, actually, I got married, moved to Utah. My husband got a job with Franklin Planner that was then merging with Stephen Covey, the Covey Leadership. And so I bought this planner that I had heard about as a kid. And again, and I'm getting to my point here, is that I got my planner, and I love it. I'm trying to learn to establish things in it that I know are there that I should be doing. But right now it's just sort of a journal, and it's where I keep my next actions list and just other things in it. But I'm hoping to learn that more, because I remember being so touched as a kid having that. And even as a young mom, I got the whole purse, like it was this big purse. It was the big size. And I thought, I'm just going to do the small size. I think that, you kind of learn how things work. So that's something that I've re-implemented, that I used to use when I had young babies. I don't know why I ever got away from the planner, because literally my life went chaotic after that. Also, when I was probably 9 or 10, I remember our house was a mess, and people in the neighborhood sort of knew it. And I had a neighbor lady who I absolutely love. Her name is Ritva. She was from Finland. Very organized, very organized. I've never seen anyone this organized. And she came over and she brought me a little box that she had covered in wallpaper. And she covered these little cans in wallpaper. And she said, I want you to have this little, and she did one for my older sister. And she said, I want you to put important things in it, like maybe school papers you can put in it. And here's this can for your pens. And then she gave me one of those little, I don't know if you remember those clear, they were like little round containers, and they screwed on top of each other. And she put, paper clips and thumbtacks and all these little office supplies. And she gave me a stack of Post-it notes. I I didn't know what a Post-it note was. I thought it was so cool, these little sticky tabs. And she basically gave me a command central. Like she gave me a cubby, and she didn't know how to describe to a child how to use it effectively, but I had it for years on my desk. It was just this cute, I even remember the wallpaper. It's like this little thing that I could put my special things in, because she could see that there was no place that you could really put special things in. And so I feel like this sort of felt like home to have these cubbies. It reminded me of that little set that my neighbor had given me all those years ago. And then I'm trying to think what was, and also I think the whole having a place for everything was, I'm getting distracted here. Okay, so years ago, I watched a show on Oprah Winfrey with Julie Morgenstern. That's the first time I'd ever heard of her. And I can't remember, it was probably in the early 90s. And she talked a lot about containerizing, but she also talked a lot about, it was that book, Organizing from the Inside Out.
Yeah.
And I haven't read it in years, so I can't remember exactly what was in it, but I just remember I learned that there were zones for things, which was a new concept for me. And so I feel like with the Command Central, it was a zone that I was completely missing, that you needed a place you just need a place for your things. And so like I can separate my home management, my family, my personal goals, my church, my family history. And like the cubbies are full, I'm utilizing them. And so, and I feel like that's what started all the stacks of paper, were things that should be in the tickler file, things that should be in my cubbies, things that should be in my next action. I mean, I created lists. I told you I was a major list taker. And I have collected all of those lists of projects that I've been identifying for years, and I put them in my Sunday, and I have incubation of things like, well, maybe I may want to go to that play. It just all makes sense. There's not one thing I can tell you is more important than the other, really, because they're all, it's like I said, it's like everything's important to me because I'm utilizing all of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. And I love it. And, April and Eric will oftentimes compare the Command Central to a car. And it's just like, a car is great, but, you can't have the steering wheel without the tires, and you can't, have the engine without, all the pieces that make that work. And they really all are integral pieces of the entire system. And, when you bring them all together, it really is beautiful, because there's nothing that's left to chance. There truly is a home for each and everything in your life, whether it's paper or whatnot, or a thought or idea. There is a safe place for it all to live at. And I know that was so impactful for me when I first started in the system too, is just that, wow, this can be somewhere out of sight, yet still be safe. And I was like, that was
so huge. You know how I kept thinking of it like this. It was funny. Yesterday I finished my studio, and I like clutter in some places. I like inspirational ideas. People will give me little gifts, or I'll make little trinkets, and I have them all over my shelves downstairs. And oh, Jill, I talk about the clarity I have in my head, and maybe I don't.
You're doing great.
I'm losing my train of thought here. But where I'm going is, I found this little puzzle that I had got in Europe, and it was a painting that I loved. And I was looking at that puzzle, and I actually had this thought. I'm like, you know what? Learn, do, become is like this puzzle. It's like, if you don't have the picture on the box, you don't have the overall picture, you're just flying blind. Like, you're just like, oh, okay, here's a bunch of water, maybe here's a white picket fence, but you don't have the whole vision. You know that all these pieces are really important to connect to the next thing, but to have it's like step is like that box picture, like to see the picture as a whole, and to know how it works within the other pieces. And so I don't know, I think of it like I think of it like a puzzle, and it's like each thing is so important and each thing has its own purpose. But yeah, basically the same concept.
Yeah. So I'm curious, would you have any words of wisdom for someone who thinks that they could never be organized?
Well, I mean, if I can be organized, I'm pretty convinced anyone could. I mean, I think the thing when I tell people about it, and I haven't really pushed it too much with my friends because it's one of those things that I do think you have to be ready for it. You have to be starving for it. At least I did, because nothing was going to, it's like I decided through the summer. I usually try to work through the summer, and I'm like, I am I am doing this because I knew, well, first of all, I don't know that I've ever shared this on the Facebook page, because I'm pretty active on the Facebook page right now, because I feel like people have helped me so much. I want to give back. And,
Absolutely.
and that is something that if you're on the fence about doing this, just know that there's a lot of support that help you accomplish your goals. I every day I pick up something from somebody. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna implement that. And so it's very helpful. And I remember thinking, because I'm always so budget conscious, but I remember thinking, I'm gonna screenshot everything because I'm gonna do this. I'm fully capable of doing this myself. And I feel like the Facebook page is totally underrated when you're looking at it from the outside in. I think people on the Facebook page know the value there, but it's extremely helpful. It's been extremely helpful for me and made all the difference. Even I remember the first time I went on last year and somebody had posted their room, and it was like, and every room in my house looked like that, but I was like, oh, I can't believe she posted that. That was my first thought, because I don't divulge myself like that, especially spaces like that. But that's what it's all about, is we want to cheer you on for, like, this is going to be amazing when it's done. This is an incredible space. And I've seen some really cool transformations recently that I'm like, this is so cool. It's great that we have a bunch of people walking around the planet that live in chaos like this, and there's no need for it. Like, you kind of start feeling sorry for people that don't know about it, because it's so worth it. And this is what again, I'm distracted, but I'm going back to, I was cleaning through the office, and I kept hearing about people finding, oh, I found a gift card, or I found this, or I found that. Jill, I found $700 cash.
Goodness.
Like 100, and we don't have cash laying around, right? It's not like we do that. But I think what happened was I had done a show, and I collected cash, and I put it in an envelope, and it was like in some envelope, some folder in my files that I didn't even know was there. So you never know. That's all I can say, because
Wow.
I had no idea. So things just come together for you, and somehow, even if I never found that cash, it didn't matter, because all the expired gift cards that could happen, I'm finding places for everything that I think in the end it's been far over its value. I mean, I have gotten so much, even if it's all just in my attitude, my head, it's been worth it. So
Gosh.
yes, to answer your question, yes, you can if you want to. It's all in if you want to. If you have that desire and you're ready for it, you will make changes. You will do it. So,
And just out of curiosity, have you personally ever tried any other organizational programs before you tried the STEP program here at Learn to Be
I
Happy?
mean, I wouldn't say anything specifically. I mean, I learned how to fold from Marie Kondo. I learned how to do zoning things from Julie Morgenstern, and all of those things they're experts. Like, they're great. But like I said, the big puzzle, it had it had the Franklin planner, it had the containers, it has all of that, but it also helps you more on I mean, I call it the spiritual side of the relationship side, because a lot of those don't dive into that, but it definitely affects all of, the prioritizing of your family, whatever it is that's important to you. And so it's the whole piece. It's like I can fold all of the shirts in the drawer, and I'm going to get rid of some because I don't need it so packed. I don't need to fit everything. I can get rid of a few things. I can prioritize, and I can, journal in my book. But I can also get my projects done that, I mean, I've hung to this date, 30 paintings in my house. I collect art. I love art. I've had art just in closets all over the place. I went to art school, so I had all these paintings that I had done that I never framed or did anything with. And I love my house. I love my house right now. I really do. I don't, in fact, like I said, we're getting ready to do a soft remodel. I don't want to redo my kitchen. You know why I don't want to redo my kitchen? I love my kitchen. I love my kitchen as I did it 21 years ago. And I love it because I read Julie Morgenstern's book, and she helped me figure out how to do my kitchen. So I think, and April will, she recommends these books to read, and they've all been so incredibly everything. I've listened to so many podcasts, like all of Aaliyah's podcasts. I love hers. She talks about, when she had surgery unexpectedly, and everything just went like usual because she was just organized. She just had everything in place. And you hear those things and you want that. And when you surround yourself with like-minded people, you become that. I believe that you become that. And so I keep, once in a while, I feel like I've got imposter syndrome. No, I'm like that. I think like that now. I think, where am I going to put that? Oh, I know right where that's going to go. It's going to go in my tickler file on the 9th day of the month. You know what I mean? So those things it's perfect. It is the perfect plan. Can't say enough.
I appreciate hearing your insight and your experience. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would just want people to know, just about your experience here in the STEP program with Learn to Become, before we wrap up here today, Aimee?
I think we've covered it all, but you know what?
You've done a great job.
Next year, I'll probably have a whole nother podcast after I go through my storage room. That's the thing that's so great, is I have 100 years of projects to do. And so I feel like I'm going to constantly be evolving.
Yes.
And that's great. I mean, that when I started thinking about the name of the company, Learn, Do, Become, it's like you learn better, and then you start doing it. And then, just like the rest of the people in the group, you become that. You become that person. And so I love the name, because when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, that's a nice name. But now it has more meaning for me, because I've learned, and then I've done, and now I have become, and I'm still becoming, because I think we're supposed to be beings that continue to learn and grow. And this fosters learning and growing and becoming. And so I hope I have a lot more to report in next year. We'll do another one next year.
Oh, this has been so encouraging and so insightful. Truly just such a joy to meet with you today and just hear your perspective and how you have just really transformed your own life and your own experiences and even your own relationships. And I think that is just going to speak to the hearts of everybody who gets a chance to hear this. So from the bottom of my heart, I am so truly grateful to you today, Aimee, and we just appreciate you so very much.
Oh, thank you, Jill. It's been such a joy. I mean, it really has. It's changed my life. Can't say it enough.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you were as inspired by this conversation as I was, and I hope that there were some takeaways that you know that you can apply right away. And I hope that you'll come explore more about what we have here at Learn, Do, Become. We would love for you to immerse yourself in the community. If you come to the show notes page, learndobecome.com/episode 306, we have links to everything that we talked about here in the podcast, and you can join our free training. You can find out more about our Rise membership. You'll just have a chance to just get the welcome kit. Just come in whatever way feels best for you. But we're hopeful that you can sense that there's a transformation coming for you as well. Aimee is so generous with her time and energy in coming to share this with you. And I'm so grateful for her and for other community members who genuinely want other people to be able to feel that same calm and that same peace. I know there's a lot going on in the world and in life, and it's very easy to feel heavy, especially in our relationships. It's very easy to feel isolated or disconnected. And when we're going in circles day after day after day, spending time looking for things or feeling frustrated about things or procrastinating things, that never feels good. But when we can create systems so we can say, okay, this is the situation. What do I want? And then what can I do to take action on those things? And I believe when you combine that with the strength of your higher power, then you can truly wake up excited and go to bed content. So thanks again for being here with us. Come to the show notes page at learndobecome.com/episode 306. And we will see you soon. Learn, Do, Become. Take care.